All right, how many people out there are into dungeon crawling? And how many people out there has ever wanted to control the dungeon, be the dungeon master? Well, you get a little taste of that today with Guild of Dungeoneering. And we're happy today to be joined by Colm Larkin. Thanks for coming on and talking with us.
Hey Jay, thanks for having me.
So you are out in Ireland, right?
That's right. I'm in Dublin in Ireland.
Oh,
Uh,
that's
three three of the team are here, and there's one guy in Australia.
all right. So can you tell us a little bit about Guild of Dungeoneering?
Absolutely. So, like you said, it's kind of mixing in a bit of being the dungeon master and kind of elements of kind of roguelike games, and then a lot of elements of card games. So you're kind of creating an experience for your dungeoneer, and you're kind of guiding them through a dungeon, but you don't have direct control over them. So they kind of move the way they want to move, and you put down monsters and treasure to try and manage their experience. And then you take over in combat, and that's where it's more like a card game.
So, I mean, did the concept did it kind of come from that D&D type of concept, or like, where did it like come from to lay that down? Because I mean, I play a lot of those dungeon crawler games, so the idea of building those type of maps is cool. And as we'll see in the trailer, how it comes together is cool, where you lead the hero through and stuff like that. And the goal is to get the hero through. It's not like you're trying to take the hero out, correct?
Exactly, yeah. So I mean, exactly, yeah. You're trying to get them to win, and usually to get them to win, you need to level them up. So that means, you start by giving them maybe some easier monsters. Very quickly, you want to give them harder monsters to try and find some better loot. And all the loot also kind of specs out their card deck, and that's the thing you use in the card battles when you're fighting anyone. And yeah, you mentioned D&D, D&D, board games, card games. They all kind of fit into this idea.
But the challenge is that when you're laying down the maps, though, it's spontaneous. So you're never quite sure exactly what's going to happen with your hero. So even though you're planning it out, it's not going to exactly go how you plan. So you have to plan your steps accordingly so you can get your hero to the end of the dungeon and get the maximum treasure and experience.
That's it, right. And you have to kind of adapt your strategy on the fly because everything you do is kind of through this idea of cards. So every turn you get cards that represent, rooms and monsters, and sometimes you don't get the monster you were hoping for, but, in some missions there's a time limit, so you just have to kind of roll with it and deal with what happens. Same with finding loot, you can kind of build your hero to have a particular strength, but sometimes you don't find the right loot in that particular dungeon run to do that. So you have to adapt your strategy on the fly.
What about like the styling? Like I like the way how it looks, the graphics and stuff of how it's laid out. Was there like an inspiration of, um, you know, how you wanted it to look when you're laying out the graphics and the style of the dungeons?
So the idea kind of came from kind of making maps for D&D when I was a teenager, where I'd just draw in the little corridors of rooms on graph paper, little squared graph paper. And then when I teamed up with Fred, who did all the art, I kind of said to Fred, I had been thinking if I did this myself, I could just try drawing, really terrible art on actual graph paper and scanning it in. And he kind of took that idea and really ran with it and gave us the aesthetic you see in the game now, which is really lovely.
So you were a fan of like D&D and those type of games. Did you also like the PC games where you actually play in the dungeons, like not the Morrowinds, but the Icewind Dales and games like that?
Oh yeah, and Baldur's Gate. Yeah, I've played all of them many times probably. Yeah, no, I'm a big fan of, complex turn-based role-playing games, big time. And as you play our game, you'll see it's kind of a much lighter take on that, but very very much in that same flavor.
So the game is Guild of Dungeoneering, and it's available right now. You can get on PC or Mac. You can get on Steam and also Good Old Games, right?
That's right. Yep.
Awesome.
And we're looking at other platforms as well. Probably tablets will be our next move. Um,
Excellent. All right. Well, I hope everyone will go check it out. It's available now, and we're gonna check out the trailer in just a minute. But thanks, Colin, for coming on and talking with us about the game.
Thanks so much.
All right, guys, let's check out the trailer.
Okay, people, listen up. Let me tell you about the guild, where dungeoneers will be killed. A new volunteer, hurrah, 3 cheers. Oh, it's dungeoneer time. Look at these pitiful fools. Dungeoneering is deliciously cool. Play your cards right, you might win a fight. Oh, it's dungeoneer time.